أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Respected ones, we welcome you all to another section of our class on the book تلخيص صفة صلاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من التكبير إلى التسليم كأنك تراها of الإمام الفقيه المحدث Muhammad Nasiruddin Al-Albani. We ask Allah Ta'ala to have mercy upon him and also to reward him abundantly for this tremendous effort. Today is the night of Friday, which is the 3rd of Rajab, 1446 years after the migration of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Medina, which coincide with the 2nd of January 2025 according to the Gregorian calendar. Before we commence our class today, I want to apologize to each and every one of us for coming late. Scholars used to say, Al-Udhru inda kiramin nasi maqbul. Whenever excuse is presented before honorable people, they don't actually reject it. وَأَنْتُمْ مِنْ كِرَامِ النَّاسِ inshallah. And I want to believe that each and every one of us here will among the honorable ones. As such, my apology is accepted. I hope that inshallah I will not come late again inshallah. As I was coming, I was devising a means through which I will be coming early. I hope that inshallah from next class I will be observing Maghrib here with us. May Allah make it easy. In our last class, we stopped at page number 9. By default, we are supposed to continue from page number 10. But for the benefit of record, there are some persons that are following us online. I want us to run through what we read last week before we continue. We started our class last week from the statement of the author, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him, under page number 8, where he said, وَلَا يَجُوزُ لِلْمُصَلِّ جَالِسًا. It is not permissible for one that is praying while sitting أَنْ يَضَعَ شَيْئًا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ مَرْفُوعًا يَسْجُدُ عَلَيْهِ, to place something raised upon the ground, which he actually what? To place something raised upon the ground, yasjudu alayhi, to prostrate upon. It is not permissible for a person that is observing prayer jalisan, while sitting, an yada'a shay'an ala al-ardi marfu'an, to place something raised upon the ground, yasjudu alayhi, which he actually what? Prostrate on. It's not permissible. Do we understand? And the reason for this is because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered upon a man, and he saw that that man was prostrating upon what? His pillow. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam collected the pillow and threw it away. He said, if you are praying while sitting and you know that you cannot prostrate, what do? You show sign with your head. You make your sujood lower than what? Your ruku. So it is not permissible for a person who cannot bow to actually prostrate on what? On chair or on a table. It is also not permissible for him to touch the ground and use it to what? Rub his head, just as it's not permissible for him to use stone. Maybe get stone, whether wet stone or what? Or dry stone, and place it on his head, marking what? Sujood la. Do we understand? If you cannot prostrate with your forehead while you are praying, upon what? Sitting position. If you cannot prostrate with your forehead, what do? You show sign with your what? With your head. Now the Prophet said, the Sheikh said, وَإِنَّمَا يَجْعَلُ سُجُودَهُ أَخْفَضَ مِنْ رُكُوعِهِ. He will only make his sujood lower than what? His ruku. By way of what? Bending the head. Kenako? كما ذكرنا إذا كان لا يستطيع أن يباشر الأرض بجبهته. As we have mentioned, if he cannot actually what? Directly place his forehead on where? On the ground. So that means a person can pray while sitting. At the same time, when it is time for sujood, he can prostrate. Are we getting the concept? Now, you will not prostrate when you know that you cannot what? You cannot do it. If because of the condition you find yourself, maybe due to what you call health challenge, you cannot place your forehead on the ground, what do? You show sign. Do we understand it? It's very important we note this. Now, this is a kind of summary because we've explained this in our last class. Go. As-salatu fi safinati wat-tahira. As-salatu fi safinati wat-tahira. Observing prayer fi safina, on the ship, wat-tahira, and where? Airplane. Is it permissible for us to observe prayer on the ship? Is it permissible for us to observe prayer in the plane? Which prayer are we talking about? Good. We are talking about the compulsory word prayer. وَتَجُوزُ صَلَاةُ الْفَرِيضَةِ بِالسَّفِينَةِ. It is permissible to observe the compulsory prayer upon where? Upon the ship. Do we understand? وَكَذَلِكَ الطَّائِرَةِ. Likewise where? In an airplane. We said in our last class that there is a clear-cut evidence from the Prophet regarding what? The ship. The Prophet was asked regarding prayer in where? On the ship. And he said that you should pray while standing. If you are afraid that you will fall, then you do what? You sit. So the scholars then infer that if you can pray on the ship, then you should be able to pray in where? In the plane. I hope you are getting the concept. This is why they said you can also, it's permissible for you to pray in where? In the plane. So they did qiyas. From where? From that of the ship, as we have explained. وَلَوْ يُصَلِّي فِيهِمَا قَائِدًا. It is permissible for him to pray in either of them, meaning in either the ship or where? A plane, qa'idan, while sitting. إِذَا خَشِيَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ السُّكُوتِ. If he fears that what? He will fall. وَيَجُوزُ أَن يَعْتَمِدَ فِي قِيَامِهِ عَلَى عَمُودٍ. It is also permissible for him, a praying person, to rely, while standing, to rely ala amudin, on a pillar. Al-asal, or what? A stick. Likibari sinnihi, due to what? His old age. Al-da'afi badani, or due to the weakness of what? The Prophet ﷺ, when he became old, he used to actually what? Lean on what? On a stick. Do we understand? So the scholar said it is better if you know that you can stand. I hope you are getting the concept. It's just that you find it a little bit difficult to stand. But when you lean on something, you'll be more comfortable. They said it's better that you stand while leaning than to what? To sit. Because of what? Because of what? The hadith that came regarding the prayer of who? One that is what? Standing. You know, we explained this last week. Al-jamu bayna al-qiyam wal-qu'ud. Combining between standing and what? And sitting in a single word. Prayer. But this prayer is what? Nafila prayer, not compulsory prayer, as we have explained. وَيَجُوزُ أَن يُصَلِّيَ صَلَاةَ اللَّيْلِ قَائِمًا. It is permissible for a person to observe night prayer qa'iman, throughout while standing, meaning from the beginning of the prayer to where? To the end. Al qa'idan, just as it is also permissible for him to observe night prayer throughout while sitting, biduni udhrin, without any word, any excuse. So this shows, from this particular expression, we can infer that there are two ways of observing what? Night prayer. So, is either you stand throughout or you sit what? Throughout. Do we understand? He then mentioned the third way. He said, وَأَنْ يَجْمَعَ بَيْنَهُمَا. It is also permissible for him to combine between them, meaning between standing and what? And sitting. Do we understand? Yeah. So if he's combining between standing and sitting, how is he going to do it? He said, فَيُصَلِّي وَيَقْرَأُ جَالِسًا. فَيُصَلِّي وَيَقْرَأُ مَاذا? Jalisa. So he will pray, meaning he will start his prayer and recite while what? Sitting. وَكُبَيْلَ الرُّكُعُ. Shortly before he goes to where? Ruku. يَكُومُ. He will rise up فَيَقْرَأُ مَا بَقِيَ عَلَيْهِ مِنَ الْآيَاتِ قَائِمًا, and then read the remaining what? Part of the ayat while what? Standing. Are we together? ثُمَّ يَرْكَعُ. Then he will now bow. وَيَسْجُدُ and prostrate. Why what? Standing. ثُمَّ يَصْنَعُ مِثْلَ ذَلِكَ فِي الرَّكْعَةِ الثَّانِيَةِ. And he will do the same thing in where? In the second rak'ah. He said, وَإِذَا صَلَّى قَاعِدًا. If he prays while sitting, جَلَسَ مُتَرَبِّعًا. He should sit with his leg crossed. أَوْ أَيُّ جَلْسَةٍ أُخْرَى يَسْتَرِعُ بِهَا. Or any other sitting that is comfortable for what? For him. What this particular portion is telling us is that if you want to observe nafila prayer, there are three ways you observe what? Nafila prayers at night. Not only at night, any nafila prayer that you want to observe. Do we understand? It's either you stand like this from the beginning to where? To the end. Or you sit like this. He said if you want to sit, you sit like this. This is what they call mutaraddiya. You sit like this. Are we together? You sit what? Like this. You can sit like this what? Throughout. This is the second method. Then the third method, you can start your prayer by sitting. For instance, I want to observe my witr at night now. I can start my prayer while sitting like this. Recite Fatiha. No. Maybe I want to recite which surah? Surah Al-Qari'ah. I've recited Al-Qari'ah, Mal-Qari'ah, وَمَا أَدَرَاكَ مَا-الْقَارِعَةِ يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ الْمَبَثُوثِ وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية. I cannot rise. Do we understand? And complete it. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ موازينه فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. And I'll now go to where? Are we getting it? I will repeat the same thing in the word. In fact, I can finish my prayer in this word, in this manner. So I will recite while sitting. When I'm about to conclude the verse I'm reciting, I will now rise up. Do we understand? And complete it. Then go to ruku while standing. I hope we are getting this. So there are how many ways of observing what? Nafila prayer. Three. The first way is what? Is how? Standing all through. The second way, the third way, mashallah, asanto. Wa alaikum assalam.
We need to know that of standing as first of all you stand, and later you come and sit down and continue. But this one now I'm seeing different.
No, it's not. You don't stand and continue. What you do is you sit. Okay. It is you sit first, after which you now what? You know, this is what came from who? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is only the Prophet that Allah said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. Now, as-salatu fi ni'al, prayer. We are to observing prayer while wearing shoes. Observing prayer while wearing what? Shoes. Is it permissible for us to pray with our shoes? No. Or it's not permissible? Now, before we have discussed this, but in summary, the scholars said to pray with the shoe is permissible. Do we understand? It is sunnah, but it is not what? Wajib. I hope you understand. The Prophet ﷺ said we should contradict the Yahud by praying with what? Our shoe. This statement alone would have made it obligatory upon us to pray with our shoe. But do you know why it's not obligatory upon us to pray with our shoe? The Prophet was seen not praying with his what? Shoes. This shows that the obligation has been reduced to what? To sunnah. As such, it is sunnah for us to pray with our what? Our shoes. But two conditions must be mentioned, as Sheikh Bazmoon actually mentioned. Do we understand? Two conditions must be fulfilled before we can pray with our what? Our shoes. Number one, the shoes must be free of what? Debt. I hope you are getting it. Then number two, it must not cause harm to what? Others. La dara, wala mada, wala dira. I hope you are getting the concept. So as such, a masjid that is tied, can we wear our shoe to pray in such masjid?
No.
La, because we'll be causing harm to who? To others. Even in the figure of the hadith, the Prophet says, wala yu'di ghayrahu aw kama qala Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It should not harm what? Another person. So if you must pray with your shoes, these two conditions must be what? The shoes must be clean, and also it must not cause inconvenience, discomfort to what? To others. Do we understand the concept? The scholar said, that's what they call sunnah. It's not just to practice the sunnah, but it's to practice the sunnah in sunnah. I hope you are getting the concept now. The sunnah in sunnah is that we don't anything that will cause what? Discomfort. I hope you are getting the concept, especially in the issues of prayers and others. We don't engage in what? Engage in it. And there are some things man the Prophet left because it's going to cause what? Confusion. Do we understand? The Prophet said, if not that people just accepted Islam, he would have demolished Kaaba and reconstructed it. He left it. Do we understand? Because there is going to be what? Confusion. The Prophet was told to execute the munafiqun. He said no. People would think that what? The Prophet Muhammad is killing who? The Muslims. He left it. I hope you are getting it. So if you look at the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad is that what? We don't do things that will cause what? Confusion. Do we understand the concept? May Allah continue to guide us. It is permissible for a praying person to stand in prayer barefooted, meaning without wearing what? Shoe. Because the Prophet was seen doing that. Kama yajuzu lahu an yusalliya mu'ta'ilan, as it is permissible also for him to observe prayer while wearing what? Shoes. After the two conditions we mentioned have been what? Do we understand the concept? Are we together? You know, we said the reason why in our last class we mentioned that the reason why you must check the shoe if there is what? Death. Is because the Prophet ﷺ was praying and he removed what? His shoes. Do we understand? At the end of the prayer, what did he tell the companions? He said he discovered that the Jibreel informed him that there is what? There is death. The scholars established, they actually extracted some rulings from this particular event. Number one, they said if a person is praying while he is informed or he discovered that there is najasa in him, what should he do? He will remove that, he will do away with that najasa. But that does not affect that his prayer. The one that he has prayed with that najasa. The scholars then extracted from this hadith again that if a person prayed throughout till he finished his prayer with najasa, his prayer is intact. Do we understand the concept? He did not know that there was najasa in his clothes until after he has finished the prayer. He will not repeat that prayer again. Because when the Prophet discovered that najasa, he did not start the prayer afresh. He continued. I hope you are getting the concept. Now, Sheikh said, then we said the second condition is that what? It must not cause harm. So, here he's telling us that after he has fulfilled what? The two conditions. But what is better, the best, is that he prays like this. Meaning, what he mean by like this? Barefooted. He prays what? Barefooted sometimes. And sometimes he prays while wearing what? Because that's the sunnah of the Prophet. حَسْبَ مَا تَيَسَّرَ لَهُ, in accordance with what is what? Easy for him. That means if he's standing outside the masjid and he's wearing shoe, what should he do? He should pray with his shoe. If he's standing inside, his shoe is outside, what should he do? Should he go and carry his shoe? No, he should pray like that. Do we understand? فَلَا يَتَكَلَّفُ لُبْسَهُمَا لِلصَّلَاةِ وَلَا خَلْعَهُمَا. He should not force himself to wear them. Do we understand? In prayer, or to remove them in where? In prayer. Meaning, if he is in a place that he's supposed to wear the shoe, he should not remove. If he's in a place where he's not supposed to wear the shoe, he should not say, you want to go and what? Wear the shoe. بَلْ إِنْ كَانَ حَافِيًا صَلَّى عَافِيًا. Rather, if he happens to be barefooted, then he should pray like that. He should pray barefooted. وَإِنْ كَانَ مُنْتَعِلًا. And if he is actually wearing shoe, صَلَّى مُنْتَعِلًا, he should pray while wearing what? Shoe. Meaning in a place where he can observe prayer with what? إِلَّا لِأَمْرٍ عَارِضٍ. Except for what? Emergency. Except for what? He's outside praying. He did not wear shoe. He can continue his prayer like that. But if he now discover that the ground is what? He's burning his leg, he can carry what? So if he's not wearing shoe, where will he put his shoe? Because we will not say if he's going to the masjid, he should be working what? He should keep his shoe at home and walk barefooted to the masjid. If he carries his shoe to the masjid and he does not want to wear the shoe, where should he keep it? Left hand side. What if there is somebody by the left hand side? He should put it where? In between. In between what? His leg. That's what Sheikh is going to tell us here. He said, وَإِذَا نَزَعَهُمَا. If he removes both of them, if he removes what? His shoes, فَلَا يَضَعُهُمَا عَنْ يَمِينِهِ. He should not put them on the what? On the right hand side. وَإِنَّمَا يَسَارِهِ. But on the where? Left hand side. With the condition, إِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ أَنْ يَسَارِهِ أَحَدٌ يُسَلِّ. If there is no one observing prayer on his what? Left side. وَإِلَّا. But if there is someone, وَضَعْهُمَا بَيْنَ رِجْلَيْهِ. He should put them between where? His feet. So this shows our mistake. When we go to Juma prayer, some of us will just have our shoe and put it in where? In front. In front and be prostrating towards what? That's wrong. Do you understand? Put it in between your what? بِذَلِكَ صَحَّ الْأَمْرُ عَنِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. That it is with this that instruction has been authentically reported from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is where we stopped in our last class. So today we are going to start from page number 10, where the author said, As-salatu ala al-mimbar. Prayer on where? On the pulpit. Prayer on the pulpit. Now, this particular portion, the author is going to tell us the hukum, the ruling of praying on where? On the pulpit. And the condition. The ruling and what? The condition. وتجوز صلاة الإمام على مكان مرتفع. The prayer of an imam is permissible. Meaning it is permissible for an imam to observe prayer على مكان, on a high place. But with a condition. What's the condition? لتعليم الناس. To do what? To teach people. I hope you are getting it. To teach what? The Prophet ﷺ prayed like that. The Prophet climbed the pulpit and led his companions in prayer. But after the prayer, he said, Ayyuhan nas. إنما صنعت هذا أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لتأتموا بي وَلِتَعَلَّمُوا صَلَاتِي. Do we understand? He said, I only did this so that you people you copy me. And also you learn how I observe what? Prayer. How is that prayer? So this is why the scholar said it is permissible for an imam to pray on the pulpit, but with the intention of teaching who? The mamumi, the followers what? How to observe what? Prayer. Third, from this hadith that the Prophet ﷺ observed led prayer on the word, on the mimbar, some scholars then extracted that it is permissible that the position of the imam should be a little bit higher than that of the followers. Do we understand? Some scholars of the Madha'ib instructed that the position of the Imam should be a little bit what? Higher than that of who? The follower. That's why when you go to some masjid, you see that when the Imam is standing, is a little bit what? Raised. But the scholar said this is makruh. Why is it makruh? Hudhayfa radiallahu ta'ala anhu saw a companion praying. Imam Abu Dawud as-Sijistani reported this hadith in his Sunan. He saw a companion praying. And that companion was praying ala dukanin. What do you mean by dukan here? Is a high place. Do we understand? No. Why the followers were what? Lower than where he was standing. Hudhayfa then stepped forward and dragged him down. Do we understand? He stepped forward and did what? When he dragged him down, he did not argue, he came down. And he led them, he completed his prayer on the same level with what? With the Imam. After the prayer, Hudhayfa then told him that, Alam tasma' Rasulullah sallallahu yaqul. Didn't you hear the Prophet sallallahu saying, إِذَا أَمَّ الرَّجُلُ الْقَوْمَ فَلَا يَكُمْ عَلَى مَكَانٍ أَرْفَعْ مِنْ مَقَامِهِمْ أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. That whenever a man leads some group of people, he should not stand in a place higher than their own what? Higher than their own place. This companion then said, didn't you see that when you dragged me, I did not argue? Because immediately you dragged me, that hadith actually came to what? Into my mind. So it is disliked that the position of the Imam is higher than what? That of the Imam. They should be on the same word.
Same level.
But what if the masjid is of 2 steps? Where the Imam is leading some people up and some people are where?
Down.
And now the scholar said there is no problem. Do you understand? Where the problem is only him should not be what? But if he is at the top with some jama, while others are where? There is no problem about it. If he is down, of course, even if he's down and necessitate that they should be up because of what? This space, there is no problem. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. I hope we understand this. Sheikh said, how will a person pray on the pulpit? He said, yakumu alayhi. The Imam will stand upon it. Upon where? The pulpit. فَيُكَبِّرُ and says takbir. Which takbir is this one? Good. وَيَكْرَ recite what? Fatiha and where? Surah. وَيَرْكَ and what? Do ruku on where? وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ while he is on where? ثُمَّ يَنْزِلُ ثُمَّ يَنْزِلُ الْقَهْقَرَ. Then he will now step backward. That's the meaning of al-kahkara. Al-kahkara means when you are walking backward. So he will step what? Backward. That means he's not going to face the Jama by way of turning away from where? The Qibla. No, he will step backward. حَتَّى يَتَمَكَّنَ مِنَ السُّجُودِ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. In order for him to be able to perform sujood on where? On the ground. Min asli al-mimbar, at the foot of where? On the mimbar. At the foot. We know the foot of the mimbar, right? ثُمَّ يَعُودُ إِلَيْهِ. Then after he is done with sujood, the second sujood, he will now stand up again and go to where? To the mimbar. And continue his prayer. فَيَصْنَعُ فِي الرَّكَعَةِ الْأُخْرَى كَمَا صَنَعَ فِي الْأُولَى. He will do in the other raka'at as he did in the what? Do we understand this? If he is doing this to teach the what? The followers, no problem. But if it is not to teach the followers, it's what? It's makruh. Please, let's take note of this. This shows that an imam should teach the follower how to what? How to pray. This shows that we can also not pray the way we like. But the Prophet said he did this لِتَعْتَمُّ بِي وَلِتَعَلَّمُوا صَلَاةِ. Do we understand? So it is an obligation upon all of us to learn the prayer of who? The Prophet said, وُجُوبُ الصَّلَاةِ إِلَى سُتْرَةٍ وَدُنُوبُ مِنْهَا. The obligation of praying towards what? A sutra. And moving close to the sutra. There are 2 things here. Praying towards a sutra and moving close to what?
Sutra.
The sutra. Jama, are we together? Now, Sheikh said, وَيَجِبُ أَن يُصَلِّيَ إِلَى sutra. It is obligatory that a person that is praying should pray towards what? Sutra, a barrier. Al-Albani is of the opinion that what is obligatory. Do we understand? He said, لا فرق في ذلك بين المسجد وغيره. There is no difference regarding what? The fact that it is obligatory for a person to pray towards the what? The sutra. So, between one that is praying in the masjid and one that is praying where? Outside the masjid. Whether you are in the masjid or you are outside the masjid, it is obligatory upon you to pray towards what? But don't forget, the imam, the sutra of the imam is that of who? The imam. I hope you understand this. وَلَا بَيْنَ كَبِيرَةٍ وَصَغِيرَةٍ. There is also no difference between a large masjid وَصَغِيرَ and a small masjid. Whether the masjid is very big or the masjid is very what? You must pray towards what? The sutra. لِعُمُومِ قَوْلِهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Because of the generality of the statement of the Prophet, لَا تُصَلِّ إِلَّا إِلَى sutra. This is a prohibition and an instruction. The Prophet said, do not pray illa ila sutra, except towards where? The sutra. وَلَا تَدَعْ أَحَدًا يَمُرُّ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. And do not allow anyone to pass in front of you. In front of your what? Sutra, Kenako. فَإِنْ أَبَى. If he insists that he must pass, فَلْتُقَاتِلْهُ. This is فعل مضارع مقرون بلام الأمر يدل على الوجوب. The student of Usul al-Fiqh will tell you this. This is فَلْتُقَاتِلْهُ. The Prophet said you should do what? Fight him. فَإِنَّ مَعْهُ الْقَرِينَ. For verily he has an evil companion with him. Yani shaitan. Meaning he has shaitan with what? What do you mean by, is it to deck him with serious blow? You just stop him and push him. So what if you push him and he die? Huh? If you push him and he die, what will happen? Are you going to pay dia? Abu Fuday, bring that manzuma, the poem for us. In Manzuma to Usul al-Fiqh wa Qawaid wa Bali Uthaymin. In our last class. Abu Hafs, bring that poem. La hawla wa la quwwata. Abu Ja'far. Al-Usuli, bring that poem for us, Abu Uthaymin. Subhanallah. Now, no, it's a poem that won. Okay, bring the Qaida.
The last two that we did.
Yes, the last two we just did. Allah understand. No muraja. No muraja. Wato, there is a qaida in usul that whatever that happened out of what? That which has been made permissible. كل ما ترتب على الماذا؟ على المأذون فليس بمضمون. Anything that happened, do we understand? Due to permission given by Allah or the messenger, فليس بمضمون. There is no charge in it. There is no what? So nobody will be charged. If you do it the manner which the Sharia actually what? Ask you to do, you will not pay anything. Because it's the Sharia that asks you to block what? That person. I hope you are getting the concept. So, if somebody is trying to pass your front, what do? So, because of this hadith, some of the scholars then said, it is wajib that you pray towards what? sutra. Are we together? But the Jamhur, majority of the scholars say no, it's Sunnah. You know why it's Sunnah? There is hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, which an Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim reported. Ibn Abbas said, Salla bin Nas, so he's referring to the Prophet sallallahu fi Mina ila ghayri jidar. He said the Prophet sallallahu led people in prayer at Mina, not facing where? The wall. And we all know that Abdullah ibn Abbas was a faqih. So the scholar said for him to remove the wall, he did not remove the wall for removing sake. He removed the wall to tell us that the Prophet prayed not facing where? Not towards what? Sutra. So as the Prophet was found praying not facing towards what? Sutra, this particular injunction has been reduced from what? Obligation to where? Are we together? And there are other hadiths again. But the Prophet said, if someone, even one of you pray not facing towards, not facing what? The sutra, if what passes his front, donkey, or what? Black dog, or what? A menstruating woman, his prayer will what? That means if they did not pass his front, what happened to the prayer? The scholars extracted it again from this place that facing, praying towards the sutra is not wajib. It is what? It is sunnah. Are we together? Are we together?
Yeah.
Now, وَيَجِبُ أَنْ يَدْنُوَ مِنْهَا. It is compulsory that he should move close to where? To the sutra. لِأَمْرِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Because of the instruction that came from the Prophet regarding that. And the Prophet said, إِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيُصَلِّ إِلَى السُّتْرَةِ وَلْيَدْنُ مِنْهَا. How كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, even one of you prays, he should pray towards the sutra and he should move close to where?
The sutra.
To the sutra. The scholars then explain. What's the meaning of moving close to the sutra? The ulama said, the distance between you and the sutra while standing should be 3 arms length. So in terms of sutra now, there are 2 distances between you and the sutra. Why? Where you are standing and where the sutra is, the distance should be how many? 3 arms length. I hope you are getting it. But when you prostrate, the distance between your position of prostration and the sutra should be a position where sheep can pass. I hope you are getting the concept. Should be a position where what? Small sheep can what? Can pass. Are we together? It's very important we take note of this. وكان بين موضع سجوده صلى الله عليه وسلم والجدار الذي يصلي إليه نحو ممر ماذا شاء. You see, this is what you just explained. And between his place of sujud صلى الله عليه وسلم والجدار and the wall الذي يصلي إليه which he prays towards. Now that means he used the wall as what? Sutra. نحو ممر الشاة is like a space wide enough for what? For a sheep to pass through. So that means, as we are standing, if you are standing for prayer now, your sutra should be 3 arms length with you. Go. No. But when you prostrate, the space between this head and the sutra should be a space where what? Sheep can what? Pass. Are we getting it? فَمَنْ فَعْلَ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ أَتَى بِالدُّنُوِّ الْوَاجِبِ. Whoever does that has carried out the closeness that is obligatory upon him. But the Prophet said we should go move close to where? Are we getting it what?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Miqdaru irtifa'i sutra. The extent of the height of the sutra. How should the sutra be? What should be the height of the sutra? وَيَجِبُ أَن تَكُونَ السُّتْرَةُ مُرْتَفِعَةً عَنِ الْأَرْضِ. It is obligatory that the sutra should be raised above what? Above the ground. نَحْوَ شِبْرٍ أَوْ شِبْرٍ. At least a span. What a hand span kenako? أَوْ شِبْرٍ or 2 what? Spans. Are we together? So the sutra should be what? At least a span or what? 2 hands. At least. So this means that the list, as Ibn Hajar actually mentioned, that these hadiths that we are going to read indicate the list, but the sutra can go beyond what? Can go beyond that. He said, because of the statement of the Prophet sallallahu إِذَا وَضَعَ أَحَدُكُمْ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِثْلَ مَاذَا مُؤَخَّرَ. Some of the scholars read it as مُؤْخَرَ. Some read it as مُؤْخِرَ. I hope you are getting it. يعني إذا وضع أحدكم بين يديه مثل مؤخرة الرحل. If any one of you places in front of him the like of the back part of a camel saddle. You know, what saddle? Where somebody who climbed camel, where he used to sit. That place they call it what? To the back of that seat. I hope you are getting the concept. So if you have sutra that is up to the back of what? That seat. Well, you sell it. The Prophet says, they let him pray. Are we getting it? وَلَا يُبَارْلِي مَنْ مَرَّ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. He should not care about what passes what? Beyond that. Anything that passes what? Behind that. He should not care. That's his sutra. So if you place that in here, and something past the back, behind it, don't care. Your prayer is what? Well, like we said, this one is the what? Is the least. You can get what is longer than that. وَيَتَوَجَّهُ إِلَى السُّتْرَةِ مُبَاشَرَةً. It should face the sutra directly. The sutra should not be here. This is the sutra. I hope you understand. You don't turn like this. I hope you know Allah. You should face the sutra what? Directly. Are we together? لأنه ظاهر من الأمر, because this is what is apparent in the word instruction. بالصلاة إلى السُّترة that came regarding praying towards where? The sutra. وأما التعول عنها يمينا أو يسارا, but slightly turning away from it, يمينا to the right أو يسارا or to the left, بحيث أنه لا يسمد إليها صمدا, in a way that a praying person will not be facing it directly, will not be standing, directly in line with it. فلم يثبت. Such is not affirmed. So you must stand directly in line with what? Are we together? وَتَجُوزُ الصَّلَاةُ إِلَى الْعَصَرِ. It is permissible to pray towards what? The stick. Meaning you can make the sutra as your what? The stick as your sutra. As long as that stick is not what? Moving. Al-magruza, that's why I said the stock what? Stick. Fil ardi, on the ground. Any stick that is stuck on the ground, you can make it your sutra. Aw nahwiha, or what? It's like anything there that is stuck on the ground, you can make that in your what? Wa ila shajara, you can also pray towards the shajara tree. Aw ustuwana, you can pray towards the pillar. Wa ila imra'atihi, you can also pray towards you, your wife. Al-muttadi'a ala sarira, who is lying on where? On the bed. As long as what? She is what? Settled. She should not be moving around. وَهِيَ تَحْتَ لِحَافِهَا, while she is under her what? Her blanket. You can pray towards her. وَإِلَى الدَّابَّةِ, you can also pray towards what? Riding beast. Except what? Donkey. What again? Black dog. وَلَوْ كَانَتْ جَمَلًا, even if it is what? Camel. As long as it is what? It is settled. It's not moving around. Are we together? Yeah. So now, Jama, can we rule line as sutra? Can we rule line as what? As sutra? We just discussed about sutra. Can we rule line now and consider that line to be what? Sutra. Whether like this, or in cycle. So report came that Abu Huraira, he was a companion. No. He said yes. Sayyid ibn Jubayr was a student to who? Abdullah ibn Abbas, in the generation of the Tabi'in. He said yes. Al-Awza'i also, in the generation of the Tabi'in, he said we can do that. Sufyan al-Thawri also, he said we can what? We can do that. And Imam Ahmad, we know him, one of the four A'immah, he said we can do that. And Imam Shafi'i, in one of his views, he said we can do that. Are we together? Yeah. But other scholars said no, we cannot do that. Imam Malik said no, it's not permissible. Imam Abu Hanifa said it's not permissible. Are we together? Al-Layth ibn Sa'd said it's not permissible. But you see the likes of Ishaq ibn Rahuya, they said we can do it. Ibrahim al-Nakhai too, who was also a great scholar in the generation of the Tabi'in, he said no, we cannot pray towards what? We cannot use a line as what? Our sutra. So those who said we can use the line as our sutra, like Abu Huraira, and those people that we mentioned, you know, Ishaq ibn Rahuya and others, they cited evidence with the hadith of Abu Huraira. This hadith, Al-Imam Abu Dawud reported it in his Sunnah. Al-Imam Ibn Majah reported this in his Sunnah. Al-Imam Ibn Hibban reported it in his Sahih. Al-Imam Ibn Khuzaymah reported it in his Sahih. Al-Imam Ahmad reported the hadith in his Musnad. All of them like this, they reported the hadith through the isnad of Ismail ibn Umayyah. Ismail ibn Umayyah reported the hadith from Abu Amr ibn Muhammad ibn Hurayth al-Udhri. So this Abu Amr Afwan, he reported it from his grandfather, that is Hurayth ibn Sulaym. This Hurayth ibn Sulaym reported the hadith from Abu Huraira. He said, Abu Huraira said, the Rasul said, إِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيَجْعَلْ تِلْقَاهَ وَجِهِهِ شَيْئًا. If any one of you prays, let him put something in front of him. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ فَلْيَنْصِبْ عَصًا. If he cannot find anything to put, then let him erect what? A stick. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ عَصًا. If he cannot get a stick, فَلْيَخُطَّ خَطًّا. Let him draw what? A line. ثُمَّ لَا يَضُرُّهُ مَا مَرَّ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Then whatever passes in his front will not harm his prayer. I hope you are getting the concept. So this hadith, Al-Imam Ibn Abdul Barr alayhi rahmatullah reported that Al-Imam Ahmad declared this hadith to be authentic. Also there was a great scholar of hadith, Ali ibn al-Madini. He declared this hadith to be what? Authentic. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he also said this hadith is hadith al-Hasan. If you check Bulugh al-Marami, when he brought this hadith, he then said that لم يصب من زعم أنه مضطرب بل حسن. He said, anybody who said that this hadith is muttarib, has what we call irregularity, which will now make it to be da'if, he said that person has made mistake. He said this hadith is hadith al-Hasan. Are we together? But some scholars say, la, this hadith is not authentic. Are we getting the message for? Ibn Rajab, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he said there is no way Imamuna Ahmad documented that this hadith is authentic. They only used to follow this in the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Maybe because they got information that Abu Huraira was upon that opinion. But Imam Ahmad did not state anywhere that this hadith is what? Authentic. It's authentic. Are we together? Imam Malik said the hadith is not authentic. Imam Shafi'i said the hadith is not authentic. Imam Abu Hanifa said the hadith is not authentic. Are we together? Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he said that, in fact, Sufyan ibn Uyayna said that, he said, لَمْ نَجِدْ شَيْئًا نَشُدُّ بِهِ هَذَا الْحَدِيث. We do not find any hadith to use to strengthen this hadith, so that we say the hadith is what? It's authentic. Al-Albani too said the hadith is not what? Do you know why they said the hadith is not authentic? There are two reasons. Number one, there are people that are not known in the hadith. Abu Amr ibn Muhammad ibn Hurayth is not known. Abu Ja'far al-Ta'awi said he's majhul. Are we together? And Imam al-Zahabi said he's majhul. Ibn Hajar also said he's majhul. So he is not known. His grandfather too that he reported the hadith from is not known. And of course we know that whenever there is majhul, whether majhul al-hal or majhul al-ain in a hadith, that hadith becomes da'if. Do we understand? This is the first reason. Then the second reason is there is ittirab in the hadith. If you check Ta'dhib al-Kamal, there is ittirab, Meaning the hadith came in different phases that we cannot combine them together. As such, this hadith is not what? Authentic. So you cannot pray towards what? I hope we are getting the concept. Because the scholars now say we can pray towards line. A line, they differ. Some of them say it's like this. Some of them say it should be like this. Some of them say it should be like moon even. But don't stress yourself. That hadith is not what? Authentic. Get a better one. A better sutra. Whatever I've said that is correct, may Allah reward all of us abundantly. Whatever I've said that is wrong, may Allah forgive me. هذا والله الموفق والهادي إلى سواء السبيل وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.